Hi, a quick message from me before your podcast begins because I need a favour from you. Whatever platform that you're watching the Bandwagon podcast on, please like, subscribe, follow, switch on your notifications because it really does make a difference. It allows me to build the audience up and then ultimately get bigger guests on the podcast. And let's all jump on the bandwagon. Just get a little bit of sigh then. Welcome to another episode of the Bandwagon podcast, and today is the one, the 100th episode. And so I needed something special in order to do this, and I thought, which superstar can I get? And reality kicked in. I just thought I need to go back to the original, the OG, the person who took a chance on me when I first started the podcast. He is the immigration guru, a film star, a podcaster. He's a TV legend, and he's everyone's favourite Desi, Mr. Harjap Bhangal.
Oh, welcome. Great to see you, Ricky, and great to once again be amongst your viewers and listeners. And I'm honoured, man, that we started off on the number one and 100 not out, and that you thought of me on the 100th program.
Yeah, because I also wanted to kind of launch this little bit now. We're doing sort of the live production and get to know people, because when you do it over the computer, you can't necessarily sometimes get that role game there sometimes.
What's hardly any other.
And that's it.
And I'm a big fan of live. So we always do stuff live. Whatever I've done is live, and always believing face to face. And personally, I hate Zoom and all that as well. But I hate that sort, because you don't get the feel for it.
Yeah.
When you talk to someone, you want to be looking at them in the face. Yeah. Seeing their reactions. You want to see, how they sort of react. That's how you sort of gauge it.
Yeah, because sometimes you want to be, if you're going to ask a dodgy question, you don't want to be in the same vicinity if they throw a punch. No, that's the only risk of doing this.
I'm sure that's never happened to you in 100 episodes.
No. To be fair, they've been pretty kind to me so far. So that was it, really. You were number one. We did it 2 years ago. Yeah. We did a Christmas special as well.
That's right.
And then I was actually writing down all the things that have happened in those 2 years.
Yeah.
I'll bring it together. But I'm going to start something that just recently happened.
Okay.
And then we'll delve back into
No problem at all.
You spoke at the Oxford Union.
Yeah.
Just tell me, in terms of I read your bio I read your post on Instagram, and I just thought, the amount of emotion that was written in there. You could you were talking about your story from Romford and how and to get to that level. What was that like?
It's amazing, man. You grow up in Asian families, and all you hear is Oxford, Cambridge, top unis, A-level, GCSE garne, all of this throughout. It's a bit more relaxed now, but when we were growing up, there's this pinnacle is everything's education. And then someone like me, who comes from a Desi background, I talk Panjabi all day, to be invited to Oxford University. And when I went there, you should see the photos on the wall, man. It's like, they produce leaders there. They groom leaders. They're world leaders, leaders in medicine, leaders in technology. Everyone on the photo on the wall was much more bigger achiever than I was. I just got wow. First, when I got the email from Oxford Union, we would like to invite you to debate. I thought, what? I thought, who's done this? Who's faked it and put all of that up here? Then I thought, my job, right? Then I didn't reply to the first one. Then they sent one again and said, look, Mr. Bhangal, we haven't heard from you. And then I said, all right, we'll pick a date, pick one. And they go, all right, well, how about this in January? They go, it's our first debate of the year. And we want you to be there. Then I went through their website and had a look on their Instagram page. And I thought, who's their last guest who came? And guess who it was? Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, right? Tom bloody Hanks was their last guest, yeah? And then I had a look and I thought, who's the guest who came before that? President of Malta. I thought, I ain't even president of my own house. Let alone Malta, yeah? Right? I can't even get a say in my own household, right? Then I had a look, who's there? Some guy had invented the OLED screen. There was another, world leaders. The Asian one, Priti Jinta, right? So she was there. There were people that were there who were huge. And then I thought, right, let's have a look to debate me coming up. Guess who was the next guest after me? Sam Allardyce.
Big Sam?
Yeah. And then I thought, right, I'm amongst this sort of company. I mean, I don't deserve to be amongst that sort of company. They're much more unstable.
Did they just scope you out and just find it?
No, I asked them, I said, where did you find out? They go, we see you on TV, you're on mainstream things, we think you argue well, and we think you make sense, and you're calm and collected. And I thought, yeah, well, if it's 20 years ago, I was much more savage, right? But they go, yeah, we've seen you argue with the likes of Richard Tice, Nigel Farage, Jacob Rees-Mogg, and, you've been on Kay Burley's show, and all of it, Jeremy Kyle, Vanessa Phelps, yeah, I'm regularly on there. And they go, these are mainstream.
Mm.
Then I sat down and I thought, you are a bit mainstream, before it's this. You're not being interviewed on Dissy channels. Well, you are. I still do, but and I do my own show. But you've gone from like a Southall guy or a guy born in East London, grown up in Ilford, round about that area in Essex, in Agora village, and you've gone to working in Southall to one room above a pub. You know where I was, right? And next to Snowbit Gurdwara here, and now in West Brom. So you've gone mainstream. And then when I put my then I thought, right, I'm going to Oxford. Then I chatted to a mate of mine and I said, and he owns a off licence in Coventry in the Good area. And he goes, Harjap, you underestimate yourself. And I said, why? He goes, I get Gure coming in, proper Gure, from the council estate, and they know who you are. And I'm like, that's my mate. And they're like, oh, you know him? And he goes, yeah. We used to go drinking together and all that. He goes, there's a lot of mainstream out there who know you are. And I thought, right, okay. And that's where they obviously picked me up from, and they've seen me debate. And so they said, look, we want you to debate this topic of immigration. Do you think the UK is failing immigrants?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I can debate that.
You'd be saying it.
But then I thought, Harjap, tu haan keh ta ditta. Then I thought, Khunda kiya sara debate which appa ta TV te baih ke kari diya. Right, and then I had to look at all their videos and see the debate, and I saw it was a chamber, like Parliament. Mm-hmm. So they've got a mock Parliament set up, their debating chamber, with all the tiers and the lectern things there, and that where they take turns to talk each other, the dispatch box and all of that, yeah. And they've got the 3 people sitting in the chairs and all of that. And I thought, bloody hell, right? So I went there and they said black tie. And I thought, all right, bloody hell, black suit and tie. I go to Gala Ball, and I'm telling you, it was the most welcoming atmosphere, one of the best experiences I had. One, that's the whole atmosphere to be there. 2, they gave me a student assigned us. He took us a tour everywhere. We had dinner, sat down with all the students, the intellectuals. Then they took us to the debating chamber. They looked after us. It was an amazing experience, big way to start off the year. I did my debate. They loved it. They held a vote proper. I did ayes and nays with Parliament. So
Did you win?
We won the vote from 220 voted for my argument, whereas only 40 sort of voted for Richard Tice, who's a leader of reform, who's polling at 12% at the moment. They're polling in the general election. So he's a leader of political party. Yeah. Him and Farage set up the Reform Party. Yeah. So I debated him and done really well. The video's coming out next month on their channel, and everyone can watch it and see how I did, and hopefully I did everyone proud. But it was it's great to be there, great experience. And for someone like me to end up at Oxford, man, this suffnation area. Bro, the highest I got was Kingston University. What we do like in the
Different.
I did proud, man. I'll tip on the buy something the best. I wish I'd studied more than I did Bhangra, but don't worry, it was all part of life.
But you know what it is? When, I think your friend kind of said it, underestimating yourself. We were just talking a little bit before recording of, you were on mainstream TV on Sky doing your TV show with all the clips that still doing the round on TikTok, right? Yeah. Then you were being interviewed very early on. I always remember it was either yourself or Ninda Johal on TV. It was alternative, right? But think of the different kind of media that you've been involved in. Do you? Obviously, you've looked back and reflected on how far it is. Now that you're mainstream, I can't think of another person who represents us the way you do. And because of that pressure that's on there, you've almost got to be perfect. You can't really afford escape. Do you feel that pressure?
I feel pressure. I'm far from perfect. I'm probably the most fallible person. Yeah, I don't claim to be perfect. I don't want to be perfect, man. I think that's just you set yourself up for a fall. And I'm bit amazed that someone like me, I'm still in that sort of amazed phase, like that I'm doing all of this stuff, yeah. And perhaps I didn't want to do it. Perhaps it was thrust on me. There's a lot of pressure on there. But what you got to understand is you can't work like that. You can't function like that. If you worry about what people's opinion of you or people think of you, or if you let that affect you, you'll never grow. You'll never get anywhere. Because you'll be always looking at others and what they think, and you'll be in a cage. You'll be a cage of other people's thoughts. So my style has always been, and I'm much less savage with it now than what I was. Yeah. So I've always been balanced, and I always try and tell the truth. I always say what you lot are thinking at home. The difference is you're thinking it, right? You can discuss between yourselves. I'm on a live screen in front of a microphone, so I'll blurt it out. Yeah. And I'm like, we don't try and hide it or sugarcoat it or benji it or budgie it. We say it as it is, and that's sort of the mantle that people know Harjap for. They go, right, you know what, you say it as it is. And I said, well, how many other ways is there of saying it? Why would not want to speak the truth?
But that also follows the kind of the talk TV model, isn't it? Which is obviously they're a bit clickbaity,
of course.
And the way that they, they talk over each other, and it's who shouts the loudest, not necessarily the best argument.
Yeah.
And you were already creating that kind of content back in the day, before social media and TikTok and Instagram kind of went in that format. That really gave you advantage of that as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think doing live TV definitely did. I'll tell you what gives me an advantage. The advantage is I sit here and see people, some of them in genuine trouble, but some of them trying to cheat the system, play the way, and you have to call them out on it. That gives you a great vision. Seeing Apne Bande 20 years, every day, gives you a great vision. So now we get to the stage where if someone walks in, I sort of know, I can second guess, our problem, you need to have this and this ready, yeah? It's very rarely that someone surprises me, yeah? And so then that gives you the sort of intuition. That's how you should be in your work, that you should know your stuff, swallow the Bibles on them, should be able to, someone's got a problem, right, this is your solution, this is your solution. And so that, and up and about they would want to sit there and argue, and they'd want to prove their wrong points to be right. And they'd want to say, yeah, go on, say that's right. Say me doing a fake marriage with a goodie is right. And I said, I'd never say that. Or say me having a baby just to get a visa is right. Yeah. Or say me doing a fake marriage here and then having my real wife back home, that's all right. Or me running off with a 15-year-old is right. How can we sit there and justify that? But that's what Apne Bande wanted in our community to an extent. And then I would sit there and say, no, that's wrong. And so that's where I developed to argue and to learn that and speak it out and call it out, call stuff out. Essentially, that's what I've been doing. I've been calling a lot of stuff out from recently and before. I used to call out all the scams, and we still do. And now with different programs like Crime Watch, This Crime Watch. Yeah. That's like really hit it off this month. Yeah. So like with that, we call it out. And when I got invited first on to, it all started off from Birmingham. Stratford Road. My first radio show was on Stratford Road with a guy called Raj Gung and Jatinder, and they ran a 28-day license from the Gurdwara called Radio Nankana. And
yes, I remember that.
Right, so that was about 1999, around about that. So think of all them years ago, right? And about 25 years ago. And they actually said, right, why don't you just come on and talk about law and immigration? So I just came on. I used to live in Stratford Road in them days, above the Mushtaqs, near the post office, right? So I still remember it, man. Right, so I went on the radio station because Stratford Road is my local Gurdwara, and we just started talking about immigration. All their phone lines started flashing, and like people started asking questions, and we went through like an hour like that. And they said, why don't you come back next week? And I said, all right, I'll come back next week. So I did 3 or 4 shows on that every week. And that was my first interaction with callers, where people could phone up and ask anything. I remember it's a local radio show, so it's a home Dissy set up, yeah? And 28-day license, yeah? Only with like a mile or 2 radius. But it was so popular and live, and I had to give an answer straight away. People on live TV, people don't sit around and say, "Does he book about love him and that's deal?" They want their answer.
It's testing your knowledge as well.
Yeah, and then so I realised, right, for a job, you're going to do this next week and come back. You better know your stuff, bro. Right. So then I read education. Started off on that. From there, I went on to a radio station called Radio XL.
Yeah, right? I used to work on it.
Oh, there you go.
I used to basically do the Bhangra show co-host it. Well, just kind of more of a worker with Polytank.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so just after there was Cash and Polly.
Yeah, that's right, Cash and Polly.
Cash went, and then it was Polly on his own, and then I was in the background.
So I used to do a show with Vicky Gill.
Yes.
So, and me and him would banter really well.
Yeah, he's a funny geezer.
He's a funny geezer. He's a bit saucy.
Yeah.
So me and him would banter really well, and in Hindi and in Punjabi, yeah. And then once again, that had a massive response, because at that time, say 2003-4.
Yeah, almost at the same time.
Radio XL was massive.
Yeah.
It was massive. It was like the Sunrise Radio of Birmingham.
Yeah.
Right, so it was huge. There was no competition. There was none of these local stations around here.
Asia Network wasn't hitting.
Yeah. From there, I started doing a channel, when I came back to London. I started doing a TV channel called Vectone. So Vectone, which turned into Lashkara. So I did a show there, and that was my first time doing a show without a host. So what happened was, there's a camera there, yeah, they sat me in front of it, they put an earpiece in, and they said, right, look, people are going to phone you for an hour and do job doing immigration there. Right, and it's called Law and You, yeah. And so I just did that, started doing that for about a year. And then after that, I started doing, in 2007, a program on MATV. So then I transitioned that to MATV. And then obviously, then around about that time, YouTube came, and people started ripping my clips off and putting it on YouTube.
Well, it used to be on WhatsApp. WhatsApp started coming in. That's where it used to be your video used to go there.
Yeah, it used to go viral, and I used to get people sending it to me. I was like, "Buddy, have you seen this?" And I said, "Of course I've seen it. I'm in it." And they go, "I'm in it, talking in it." They go, "No, film me dick like with it." I'm like, "What?" And so I started seeing all of that. A lot of the clips with the YouTube accounts, they're not even my accounts. So my account's called Harjap Bhangal. Like all the others, Legal Solutions UK, they're not mine, and I still don't know who runs them. Right?
Serious?
Yeah, I don't know.
Can't you put in, like nowadays? You can put in a claim against it.
I don't know why. I'm a vakil. I deal with claims all day, bro. I don't do my spare time. But the rest can do.
It's all about the views, though.
Yeah. Right, and they were racking up views, like 40,000 views, like 60,000 views, and I thought, mate, I ain't even got credit for none of these. It's just my butt out there. But that's what made me go international in the Desi community. Yeah. So the Canadians, Australians, Americans up there, all started, New Zealand, all started looking at that. And from there, the BBC Asia Network picked me up. So Nihal's producers phoned up and said, "We've seen you. We want you on the Nihal show." So I started doing the Immigration Good with Nihal on BBC Asia Network once a month. I did that for 13 years. With Nihal, and Nihal moved to Radio 5. And then I did a little bit with Nomia Iqbal, Kasa Alam, Amal Rajan. Then after that, I thought Harjap, when the Asian network was having us whole overhaul, it's become a bit of an Asian-fied Radio 1 Extra now. Yeah. But that days it had serious content and some serious hard-hitting shows, and Nihal had
There was a lot of a talk, especially they used to get themselves in trouble with some of the topics that they used to get into.
But so then I did that, and then I thought, your era's gone here. But from there, obviously, the BBC, I used to be in the BBC studio, so they picked me up on BBC News, Sky News, and then it all kicked off, man. And then most recently, so for the last 5 years, Talk TV, Times Radio,
LBC.
Yeah, everyone's favourite, GB News.
Yeah.
LBC, right? And Radio 5, and all of these sort of, and then I remember there was some big hosts, like Kay Burley's a big name.
Yeah. Scary.
Bro, bloody hell. When you go in to talk to Kay Burley, she goes, "Oh, the hell, she goes, bang, straight into the questions." And then Jeremy Kyle. And I thought, I grew up watching a lot of people on Talk TV, like James Well, Ian Collins. When I was at uni, right?
Talk Sport, I used to listen to James.
Talk Sport, right? Yeah. Right, so the nighttime shows used to be James Well, Ian Collins and the Creatures of the Night. Right, because we'd stay up all night trying to do our pray, right, and sleep in the day. So I didn't used to get up till about when Neighbours was on, about 5 o'clock, right?
Well, it depends if the afternoon showing.
Yeah, that's right. And then we'd and then I was like, "James, well, man, I grew up listening to you, yeah." And Ian Collins, you cool dude, I grew up listening to you, Carol McGiffin, all these sort of people. And then now I'm mainstream and arguing with them. And I think I'm glad you give me the opportunity to talk about this. I'll tell you why. Because there's a lot of sides to Harjap Bhangal. Yeah, and people only know the side that they see or they want to see. Yeah, so people only see, Harjap Bhangal's a laugh. Yeah, or he's a savage one, or he's a desi, on TV, the YouTube immigration guy, as they call me in Canada. Yeah, I actually went to Canada and someone said to me, "Are you the YouTube immigration guy?" And I said, "Yeah, for want of a better phrase." And they actually thought that I was playing a character, and that was like just like a Just Rain type comedy skit. My show was, and I said, "No, I'm a real lawyer. These are real callers." And they're like, "Wow, amazed!" Right, and then there's always a serious side. People forget I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
As well, right? So I practice law. And I help people get their residency. I do human rights law, yeah. So that's a big side to it because people don't see me in court, or I don't put photos of myself in court and publicise me, or publish that side of it. Then because that side's we have client confidentiality. We've got to keep it a secret.
But you do have that side when you've got Sikhs in Law as well, isn't it? So that's another side that people can visibly see you in that, and how you're operating from there as well.
Yeah, because then we thought, well, hold on, let's do something to encourage the youngsters who want to do law. And let's show them that, this is what being a lawyer is about, and this is what it is. So Baldeep, when he set that up, then he invited me on and a couple of others, and then we've been with him and helped him be vocal and set this organisation up, and it's done really well. So
you scrutinised the
Bloom report.
Yeah, that's it, the Bloom report.
That's right, yeah. So that's a big task. That's a big task. And people are like, Harjap, what's Harjap doing there? Was he cracking the jokes? Actually, it wasn't a job. I was taking it apart because that's my day job.
Yeah.
And the fact is, I don't need to show you my day job because that's not for clicks and likes. Trust me, if you sat here and watched what I did in a day, you wouldn't be clicking or liking it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And social media has its own persona. We know what sells on social media and what social media is all about. When I watch social media, I don't want to watch someone doing their job. I want to watch someone having a laugh. I watch it to enjoy myself and to come out of reality, yeah? And that's what other people do. So then there's that sort of side of it. Then people forget I'm a family man, yeah? So they might see me at events, hosting events and dancing and at clubs and all that, at gigs, yeah? And then now they say, "Uncle, what are you doing here?" And I said, "Well,
look, man, at least you ain't got greys."
Oh, man, I have. Listen, you got for that. Well, listen, there's another thing, which I'll tell you, you're going to remember what Harjap said. Whatever God doesn't give you, a doctor can. So people don't see that sort of stuff. But for me, and I think someone came up to me and they sort of summed it up. They said, "Buddy, do you know what you are?" And I said, "No, what am I?" And I said, "Be gentle and kind." They go, "You're the bridge between the older generation and the younger generation."
That was my next point. But I was trying to think. It was like you're like the Gurdas man in a concert. You've got not everything Gurdas man, but you've got all those different audiences from a young all the way to old, and you always give kind of like the relatable things from it. How do you consciously make a decision of how you interpret? How do you give information out? Is it because you talked about your dad quite often, and then you've got to kind of break down stuff and give him that information? Is that the advantage?
Yeah, well, my mum and dad still don't speak English. Yeah, they came over in the 60s. Yeah, and so we had to learn Punjabi, or I had to learn Punjabi. I learned how to read and write it. I learned how to communicate it. By the time I was 11, 12, I was writing out cheques and corresponding with the council. And so, I knew that I was quite switched on like that. And then I just sat about and I knew my language, yeah, so I know how to communicate with elders. So when I started my show, it was meant for the immigrant community. I didn't think no one English speaking would need to watch my show. They don't need visas, bro. You don't need a visa. Why should you be watching my show? Then I would get people messaging me on Facebook and saying, "Harjap, we watch your show." And I said, "Why are you watching my show?" They go, "Our mum and dad were watching it, and between 7 and 8 on a Friday, we can't get the remote control of them. So we started watching the show, and we quite like it. It's quite good. And it's one show that we can sit there and watch with our family." And then I had some people say, "Can you give a shout out to my 8-year-old?" I said, "What the heck is your 8-year-old doing on a Friday night watching my show? She should be watching Mickey Mouse and all that, yeah? And Goofy and all of that." And they go, no, they watch it as well. They like it. So then I started doing a few shout outs to the kids. And the kids, they loved it. And they would go to school and say, "I got a shout out on TV, and Harjap uncle shouted me out." And I was like, "Well, great." So I've got 3 generations there.
Children's entertainer. We've got to have that on. I need to write that one.
We've got 3 generations watching my show. And I suppose that's why it's become cult sort of classic, yeah? And what are the ingredients? It's always been simple. It's a camera, me, and an earphone. That's all it is, and I've kept it from day one. I've got no budget, 0 budget, as you know, Asian media, 0 budget, 0 tech quality, yeah? I have a green screen behind me, yeah? And
who picks the background? Because some of the backgrounds that you had.
Oh man, the production team. So my production team is usually some guy from India, which I working 20 hours. Yeah, and I'm always like, "Oh, I can't pronounce it." He goes, "Oh, but yeah, I'm a sir, man, you been this week." And I said, "You know what? I haven't got time to argue with you. It's a Friday night.
Yeah.
I spent all week arguing with immigrants, and you're the last person I want to argue with." So I just went with a. But I suppose it does show if your content's good. It doesn't matter what your surroundings are.
Yeah.
You can sell it. So then I started getting cult watchings and I saw my viewings go up. And then, wow, from there, like I said, it's all interactive. But yeah, I found that I was the bridge. I'd get a lot of elders coming in with their people around my age or a little bit less saying Harjap and Samjha what we're trying to say and all that. And I'd sort of end up like a family counsellor. Half my job is family counselling. And it's like saying, look, they're going to look, bro, this is what your mum and dad are trying to say. This is it.
Yeah.
This is the situation. My situation is I live with my mum and dad. I have to manage everything. You need to, and they're like, oh, okay, Harjap, So it's all like solving problems, family sort of problems.
You couldn't go to like family events or people used to watch you to go to the toilet in order to get to get their cases out and giving case files and to have that little chat with them.
We went to a wedding in Coventry once. I don't know if you was there, but there's quite a few people there. There's quite a few people from the music industry there, Aman Hair, etc., Kaka, and all that lot, right? They were all there. And I went to the wedding and I sat at a table and I was eating my roti, and this one guy comes up to me. We're all sitting there having a drink, and roti comes up to me and goes, "Pajapa," and he goes, "Bhai, maine pata laga tusi hona si." And I said, "Oh, that's good." All right. And he goes, "Ah, mari file dekho." And he pulled out a 300-page file. I'm like, everyone's looking at me on the table, so like thinking, "Does this happen to you a lot?" And I said, "Yeah, this happens to me a lot, but I don't expect it at weddings and stuff like that." And I've had people like wait till I've gone to the toilet. Same thing. The people heard the clip where someone's and I'm doing my bit. And he goes, "Bhai, sla le nahi si." And I said, "Sla da nahi hai abhi. Tu piche hat ja. Nahi to chitte pe gaya. Tere bhi boot gande hoye ne. Mine too." You know what I mean? Swear de boot ya galle hoye ne theek nahi hone. Right. So
and it ain't raining outside.
Yeah, bro, it's terrible. But it's because up in they don't have the chill factor. It's not just me. It happens to doctors, teachers, accountants. I sympathise with you all. I know how you feel. I feel your pain. Nurses. Oh my God, man! I'm telling you, nurses spend half weddings checking people's blood pressure. Like, तुमने देखी हमारी मेरी blood pressure देखी. तो मैं ब्याह कराया नहीं तेरा blood pressure देखो.
Yeah.
And and like so it is right. It is what it is. Our community. Listen, there's great aspects to it. There's bad aspects to it. But the fact is, trying to everyone pull together in the same direction and leaving our community in a better place than when we found it. That's the key. That's the
I suppose so. And one of the reasons, in terms of what, even with the podcast, is gone trying to leave legacy in terms of just showing experiences around it. I can't. You've left one bit out about this bit, which is where we picked up the first episode. Which we are about less than half a mile from the scene of the crime, where you got a jacket potato, which potentially caused you to have a massive heart attack. So having I
can't really blame the jacket potato.
Well, that's how we were.
It might have been the 15 years of boozing and eating curries out 6 days a week. Probably done it as well.
Yeah,
but
that again, you did a massive video then, which went also super viral. Which showed a completely different, the family man side of things from there. How's your health been since? I know you dropped a lot of weight, you did a lot of the dancing, and then you got ill recently, and I think it was when I was trying to do. Another one.
That's right. Yeah.
You weren't in the greatest.
Spot then. Sorry. Yeah. So health is generally okay. It's a bit up and down. It's to be expected. It's like once gaddi da accident ho janda, jinni marji repair kar lo, oh cheez nahi rehndi. Right. So it is that. It took a lot of that out of me. Mentally, it took a lot out of me because for a while, every time I kept on thinking, "I'm a dead man. I'm a dead man." Every time I'd get a chest pain, I think, "I'm a dead man. I'm a dead man." Yeah, it was a timely sort of reminder. At the time, I'll tell you, it was like sitting in my office here, lunchtime. Went down to West Brom. In the town centre, there's a jacket potato stall. Not no libel or nothing. It wasn't, of course, there, but I had a jacket potato with cheese and beans. I love jacket potatoes with cheese and beans. Came back here.
Gaviscon.
Yeah, right. Then I indigestion or India.
Yeah.
I thought, and then I said to Mum, gas you, or you had 10? She goes, Jabila, right? Like all Asian mums do, they're large for everything. My hand's about to get cut off. Jabila, right? Yeah, right. So Jabili, and then the next morning I got up and I thought, I know what it is. I haven't been to the gym for about 2 weeks, so I went to the gym, did a 5k run, swim, so I felt a little bit better. And I thought, I feel better now. Wednesday night, still a bit of gas. Thursday, I take my day off, so I do the school runs. It's my paperwork day. So in between like school runs, I do my paperwork in the office. So Thursday, as I was about to go to school to drop the kids off, Mum goes, gas here? And I said, yeah. She goes, तो अगर तू hospital जाया 9 बजे सुबह जाएं खाली होना तेरी बारी आ जानी and that's it to check कराना. Then I thought, right, I was going to go shopping that day. So I dropped my daughter off because she's off at school. I drove into the hospital myself, parked up, walked into A&E. The first time in my life I've been to West Middlesex Hospital and there's been no one in the waiting room, not even seated, no one. It's all empty. It's like a ghost town. So I went straight up to the front desk and I said, gas, yeah, and she goes, Jal, the machine, there. So they took me into the cubicle, put me on an ECG, and she goes, looks all right to me. And like, if the doctor goes, no, it's fine, your ECG's reading's fine. And I thought, yeah, thank God. And I said, what's this gas? He goes, probably indigestion. But he goes, where is it? And I said, it's about here. And he goes, I'm going to have to take your bloods. And I said, why is that? And he goes, because you said you've got a chest pain, we'll have to take your bloods. He goes, probably nothing. Right, so he took my blood test. And I'm laying there with my phone mucking about in A&E. Half an hour later, in front of my cubicle, I see about 3 or 4 doctors and some nurses who are huddled there. And they're talking fast and they're talking about me. And right, then I heard a word that they dropped called troponin. And then I thought, right, let me Google it. I'm sitting on bed and I Googled troponin and it says enzyme released while heart's under attack. Now when I read that, I thought, what? And they go, this troponin's high and all that. We've got to do something. Doctor came in and I said, Doctor, what's up? And he goes, there's something wrong with your heart. I said, you better fix it. I've got to pick my daughter up at 2 o'clock. He said, Chop karke bhaiya. And he was a white guy, but this is what his Punjabi translation was. Sala chop karke bhaiya. Jino phone karna karna. He said, you better call who you need to call. And when he said that, I said, what do you mean? I said, that's what you say to people when they're about to die. Or they're going for life-threatening stuff. He goes, we're gonna operate on you. We're going to do surgery on you. You've been having a heart attack for 2 days. If you hadn't come in the next 12 hours, you would have been one of them stories where people hear, or on the street. He goes, that would have been you. Oh, I'm fucking in shock. Pardon my French. I was like, what the heck? Also, in your daily life, yeah, you can't live without your phone. I can't live without mine. It's here, right? Right? You probably do as well. They do as well. Don't lie. You do. I know you do, right? Right? Car keys, watches, clothes we worry about, right? We worry about work, yeah? Going to work tomorrow. Worry about going out with my mates on a Friday night, Saturday night, yeah? Bills, pressures, all of that we worry about. That's what we worry about. Our property, houses, rent, all of that stuff, yeah? That's what is in our daily mind. At that point, I didn't give a shit about anything. All I thought was, Rabba, I'll be happy. I just want to see sunrise tomorrow. I called my dad, he came running, yeah. My mum couldn't come because my little one was only 1. So she had to stay at home. So I thought, right, I'm not going into operating theatre without talking to my mum. The next conversation I had with my mum straight away, so I thought, WhatsApp her. Video caller. I video called her. It was the most awkward conversation I had without saying any words. I couldn't get any words out. I didn't know what to tell her. I just said, Mum, and I started crying. And she started crying. And I didn't know what to say. And for about 8 minutes, I remember it was about 8-minute call. And I didn't say anything. And I was just crying and I thought, what can I say? And she was just crying and then
did she have an inkling of what was going on?
Yeah, because Dad had to leg it to the hospital, didn't he? So like she was obviously, when Dad legged it to hospital, she said, why are you going to hospital? And he goes, Harjap, and he goes, it was all panic station. My kids were only 6 and 1 at the time. All I kept on thinking, mere nyane rol jane. They're going to be finished. This world is going to eat them alive. That's the thought that was going through my head. And I didn't know what to say to my mum. I felt as if I'd let my whole family down. And I felt so ashamed. I thought, what are you doing here, Harjap, in this hospital, having a heart attack at the age of 44? Yeah? Next thing I know, they put me under, operated, I got cut there, right through. They cut me open like a bakra, and double bypassed and everything. Yeah, so I remember waking up in like intensive care. They keep me there for 1 day, and I was on morphine, all drugged out, man. It was a wicked nasha, but I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. Yeah. So then they moved me to a ward. In that ward, I don't think there was anyone under the age of 65, and I was 44, and they were looking at me, and they were going, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I had a heart attack. I had a double bypass." They go, "This age, like the other patients were." And I said, "Yeah." And I was there for 10 days. And I'll tell you something, when you're laying down, looking at a ceiling for 10 days, it's a long time to think. And I remember the most poignant moment, and I'm going to remember it till I die, yeah, was my daughter came to see me, and I must have had about 50 wires hanging out of me, and all the pole, and all that points, needle stuck here, corn here, and everywhere, drips here, and cut here, like all the XXX, like dug in, like stitch you, and she got so scared, I could see it, and I said to my wife, I said, "Don't ever bring her here again. Don't bring her here to see me." Because, and all daughters will know this, your hero is your dad, especially for daughters. For sons, maybe a little bit less, but sons are more attached to their mums, but that's what I think. But for your daughters, it's definitely their dad. And when you see your hero in a hospital bed, helpless, the guy who you think is your hero, you get scared. And I felt, once again, I thought, this is no state for her to see me. I don't want her in 10 years' time to remember Dad was there like that. So I literally said, I said, take her away. I don't want her to come and see me. I will come home, then we'll see her. I don't want her to, and I felt so emotional. I was carrying all of that emotional baggage around with me. When I was in hospital, I think only about maybe 8 to 10 people came to see me. So, I get 50 people asking for advice who I don't even know. But at that time, and to be fair, I was like, it's not something you want to do. But when I was leaving hospital, I had so much emotion built up in me that the person, my friend who came to collect me, that I said to her, make a video. Yeah, because what happened was my friend was visiting me, and Kudrati, they said, you can go home. So I said, my daddy, right? So then I thought, well, I've got to make this video. I've got to get these things off my chest. So then I did that video, took it off my chest, and told everyone, look, stop being pub heroes. Stop neglecting yourself. But I'll tell you how I neglected myself. I know how I ended up in there. Since uni, I left uni, to the age of about, like, at least I would say about 38, 39. 6 days a week I was eating out. Yeah, let's go. Let's go out. And we've done it ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Bottle. Yeah, when you got a curry, bottle, chalo, kicho, hard karo, yeah. No exercise, no gym at all. You think you're Superman, yeah. I used to weigh about 130 kilograms. I'm on about 105 now. I want to get down to about 92. But that's another aspect of. But then, and I was like, this is where I've ended up as a result of self-neglect. And the other thing, work. Shedin, Saturday, work. It wasn't until I had kids that I decided to slow life down a little bit. Sat, working, trying to make my place in society, trying to do the TV, the radio, everything what we've talked about so far, doing all of that, because all of that takes time. When you go to a TV studio, people think that you just magically in London,
And the editing, we were talking about editing.
Bro, don't even talk about the editing. So we're shooting this. This is the easy part for us lot. He's got to go home and edit this. It's going to probably take a week if you want to do it to a proper standard.
Yeah.
Right. So this is no one sees that.
Nah.
Right.
It's meant, and it's just everyone sees the destination, but not the journey and everything you do. Especially if you do it successful.
Everyone sees the destination. No one sees the roads that you travel on. So then I thought, right, I need to get this message out, and I need to tell everyone. If they think they've got gas, you better get them to the hospital and check it out. Right. I put the video out. That video went viral. Even the BBC picked up on it, Radio 4, the Gaudiya, Channel 4. So they started interviewing about it. But more importantly, in our community, it went viral on the WhatsApps and all that, right? I got messages, and I still got them on my phone, where people have sent them, saying, Harjap, we were coming home from a wedding, me and my dad, yeah? And he said he got a pain in the chest. He goes, I remembered your video. And I took him straight to Bristol Royal Infirmary. And he goes, he was having a heart attack. And if it hadn't been for your video, we would have perhaps gone, we were going to the pub after the wedding. We'd have had a few more glasses. And I thought, wow, that's a powerful thing. But I also had other messages saying, Harjap, you're the lucky one. Okay, my brother was waiting in A&E and he collapsed there while he had a pain in the chest and he didn't get up. And another girl, I remember she saying, my dad went to sleep with a chest pain at 10 o'clock, never woke up in the morning. I'm like, crazy stuff. So I just thought, you know what, you could have been another one of them cases. But at least let's get the message out there. At least tell our people, especially who are mid-age like me, who think we're infallible. You know, like think that's anugi hona. Some to kuch nahi hona until we're 65, 70.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, there's nothing you can do about it. And when you are in that bed, nothing else that you worry about daily will matter. All that will matter, yeah, is that you want to see the sunrise the next morning. That's all that will matter. You want to see your parents' face, you want to see your partner's face, you want to see your kid's face. That's all you want to see. And when you're in a hospital bed, there's no helpless place to be because you're in the hands of professionals, yeah. And then that's when you wish that you got a professional who knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it was one that got my cogs in my head thinking quite a lot, because one of my pet things is, my background's around drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And 20 years ago, we saw the cocaine game coming into the upper
market. Yeah.
And now we've got people my age, 40 odd, who are been doing coke for 20 years. It kind of went away and it's come back with a vengeance now, especially if you go to Canada.
Or did we everyone turn a blind eye?
No, I think what happened was...
Or did people just get clever at hiding it?
I think a lot of those people, after they've gone the wedding scene, everyone's married.
Yeah.
And then now the second wedding, and their kids are getting married, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So now what we're seeing...
Toilet cubicles always
exactly. And so when you mix that up with, back like parents and things like that, they never had Nando's. They never had this. They was like roti. They knew where their food came from. Now we got desi diets. Mixing it with coke now. It's moved from weed, from what used to be done back then. It still does now, but not as visible. And I think now we're starting to see those 40-year-olds, those mid-30s. I've just been in London this weekend and met up with a cousin, and they were saying 3 30-year-olds that they know of have had heart operations with stents already, and we're starting to see now the younger people having heart attacks. And in our community, I think we're just at the start of this big wave that's going to come through now. Yeah. All that coke, all that thing is just going to come and just going to hit us. You're going to hear more and more about it. I've definitely experienced... That's
what it is when I see fit people have heart attacks, and then I'm thinking, wow, man, this guy's like, yeah.
It's always simmering in the back of my head. We've got Desi's got the worst body. Worst at metabolizing fat, diabetes.
Worst diet. Yeah.
And what are
diabetes?
What about our weddings? What's it designed in 6 hours? We're going to give you a 3-course meal, and we're going to give you every booze available in 6 hours, and you've got to dance, so get your heart rate up.
And outdoor catering. Yeah, let me tell you about this. That person sees it as a business. They've got to make the biggest profit margin. If you think they're going to put stuff in their food which is nutritious for you, you're having a laugh. So they're going to try and make the sustiest way and sell it for the most manga price that they can. Yeah, there's nothing really going to be that beneficial in you. Mm-hmm. If you can stick to grilled stuff, perhaps you're a lot better. But curries and stuff like that.
Aren't done bread before you go to the party.
Bro, you're asking for it. I'm telling you, boil Sunday before you go. But yeah, so it's like our diet, and like you said, mixing it with stuff. You're asking for it. You're going to end up... Listen, if we don't sort it out, you will end up where I was. And trust me, I'm lucky I got out. Yeah, but there's a lot of people that haven't been lucky. You'll be dead. And trust me, when you're dead, finish game. It is literally game over. You will die and leave all your troubles heaped on your loved ones. They are the ones who suffer. Your game's over. Yeah, if I'd have died, my game would have been over. I wouldn't have given two shits about what happens the next day. I'm going to pull the money out, you know what I mean? But but the fact is, it's all about, what about my parents, elderly parents, in their 80s? What about my kids who were 6 and 1? Yeah? What about my wife who would have had to do all of this on her own? This is all crazy. This is all crazy. What's the point of you going to work, making these big companies and big business, if you're going to eat and drink yourself to death or end up in hospital beds at the age of 40? And that's what sort of I thought at the time.
Yeah.
What's the point?
The movement was to obviously bring enough attention on this whole area.
Yeah.
We know people who are influential.
And you've been doing this stuff for a long time.
Yeah. So I've come out with, I've said what I've got to say.
I wish I'd listened to you at that time. I really wish
I wish I listened to myself a little bit. I'm a little bit,
No, you're still good. But I wish we'd listened to people like you. But at that time, people don't, our community are like, nah, sorry.
If you want to see where it's going to go, if you look at the Punjab and the drug rates and stuff like that, it's all there. All the signs that it shouldn't come as a shock.
We're not that far off.
No, by far. I've just been to Canada a few times. Honest to God, I think there's only about less than 5% everyone just not on coke. It is horrific.
They're bet too much out.
Oh, they're ridiculous. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
My bit was to say, right, how do we get support? So when we did the original interview, I did an interview in this room about 2013, 2014. And in there, I asked you a bunch of questions and I dug it out, and it's never been kind of polished within there. Interestingly, we came up with the same point, which we both agreed on, which was we've got so many Sikh charities there, got all this money.
Yeah.
Okay, we are not going to stop people who are specialising in doing lungers or doing bike rides or doing whatever, because that's their thing. Fair enough.
That's a USP.
Right. But surely, if we design how many pharmacists, GPs, if we created a health framework, like you've just done one with Sikhs In Law, and just Sikhs in Health, for example, and just say
there is now. Someone's just started a Sikhs in Healthcare.
There we go. Yeah. So if we set up a framework, created rehabs open for all, based on the principles, also around health, bringing in everybody gives 10% into this other pot. You can still carry on doing what you're doing. Then at least we've got kind of an Ofsted or some kind of panel that looks at and say, what are we hitting? Because there's no point in fighting for all the causes that are out there if the next generation is not healthy or hasn't got an idea about health.
Since we spoke in that room in 2014, I've been on a mission, and I've thought about that every day, and I thought, right, where are our community hubs and what are they doing? And what are our so-called community leaders and all of that doing? And the answer was not much. Our community hubs are based near Gurdwaras, in the biggest ones. They're the ones with the biggest income from donations. They're the ones who technically then should have the responsibility, if they're getting money for the public, to spend it on the public. And to create these sort of welfare centres. We can't trust everything to the government. What are we doing to clean our own backyards? So looking at that, Jagraj Singh is no longer with us from Basics of Sikhi. I remember I interviewed him. Then after an interview, we sat down together and I said, Jagraj, we've got to change what's going on here. There's so much money available, especially like in South or West London, Godfathers. Why isn't it not being spent? Where's our projects on all of this helping the community, helping the homeless, helping the people who are addicted to alcohol, helping our children. We haven't even got education classes and all that. So then we both decided, the way these systems work is democratic. We have to set up a party of our own and fight the elections. And I said, right, let's do it. And I said, I can't run it. I'm not in Sikhi's group. And I said, I'm the worst Sikh there ever is. I'd eat, drink, I do everything that I'm not supposed to do. Cut my hair. And I said, don't look at me, bro. And he goes, I can't be the forefront of it. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go into the community. We'll find youngsters, professionals who are up for it, and we'll set up a party. The first year we fought the Southwell election in 2000, I think it was 14. We got only four people. We're supposed to have 21 people. We had 4. We still got about 500 votes. People didn't take us seriously. We got 500 votes. The next election, we managed to get our 21 people, and we split the committee. So we split the committee we split the votes, so we got about 1,200 votes. It was brilliant. This election, we combined with our elders, and we won. And now, since the last 2 years, we have been putting places into place in South Gurdwara, in Sikhs In Law, which we have 2 Gurdwara, one on Guru Nanak Road, which is called Havelock Road, and one on Park Avenue. And we are doing community-based projects. So I'll tell you what we've done. We've done a children's library in Guru Nanak Road Gurdwara. We are one of the first Gurdwara, if not the first Gurdwara, to do SEND classes for SEND children. We have special needs children. We have special classes for them. Mm-hmm. You don't even get that at school. Yeah. Then we've got a toddlers club for little kids at the Gurdwara. Yeah. Then we've got a homework club for the kids. People usually just have Punjabi classes or tabla classes. That's what you hear about, right? Yeah. We go the extra mile. Then we have a women's group where they meet up. So cause corner, I think it's called. So we have that. Then we have a male group for our elders, where we've got a bit of land at Norwood Hall. They come and do their gardening. They do other activities, exercise. They can do yoga there. Yeah. So all supervised classes. Yeah. There's a doctor there where you can get your health checked. So all during the day, there's free doctor there, health project. We've got that going on. Yeah. A gardening project, like I said. Yeah. If you want your form filled out, like a benefit form or any help like that, we've got all of that there. That's Sikhs In Law Southall. Now the centre classes, yeah, was such a great example. The United Nations invited us and used us, Southall Gurdwara, as an example, and say this is how it should be. This is how all our religious institutions should be doing that. That's using committee money or public money to put back into the community, to put back into our local hubs. Yeah, not saving it for a rainy day with 10 million in the bank. Huh? Not doing stuff that 50 other charities do. Yeah, not competing. Yeah, who can do this the best and putting clicks and likes. Yeah, and photos like that. You won't see that. You're on our Southall Sikhs In Law Sultan Instagram page is the only place we post it, and you'll see me sharing a lot of stuff. That's all for the benefit of the Southall Sangat. Yeah, so with transparency. Yeah, no for the first time in our committee of 21, we have 4 females. 3 of them are young mothers. So born and bred here. Yeah. Then we've got youngsters. We've got at least 8-9 youngsters on the committee. By youngsters, I mean people under 40. Not like people who are 65 and I've seen some Gurdwara in the Midlands.
They call you Paji instead of it should be under.
Mate, they're 75-year-olds and they're still youth. And they call themselves youth. And I'm like, if you're youth, then that means I've been born yesterday. You know? Like, what's happened is our institutions, they've skipped 2 generations. Your generation and my generation have been skipped, yeah? And now our youngsters are being skipped, yeah? Even people in their 60s have been skipped. So been skipped. Now, when are we going to hand over this power? That's what... Remember, the Gurdwara doesn't belong to anyone. It belongs to the Guru. So what you're supposed to do is do your term, hand it over to the next generation. But these people hang on to it as if it's their own private.
But don't you see that in when you're doing the immigration cases, especially when you've got land ownership in India, where people say you'll go to your grandparents or you go to your parent and say, oh, you know, Dad, what's the plan for the land? They go, why are you saying that to me? And then all of a sudden the worst case scenario happens and everyone's just scratching around. What do we do with it now?
Well, unfortunately, everyone has to wait for the old man to die, and then what happens is usually a scratch, and what happens is scrap, and then what happens is your Rishna in India, he just dubs it all anyway for free, and then when you go over and say, you never want to go to India again in your whole life. And you go, "Agli bari aapa Goa janne ha, Penda nahi jana." You're going to get beats if you go there, or someone's going to blow. Why would someone give you 500 grand's worth of land free when they can get you killed for 50,000 rupees? Right, exactly. That's where this is all going to end up. So I spent 2 years doing programs explaining to the elders, and this is where bridging the gap comes in, saying, listen, elders, when you came over here, you consciously made a decision to leave all that land behind and all of that, yeah? When you had your kids here, you know, they might go back. I go India 6 times a year, yeah? Not even I'm confident. And I got links from the top guy at the top, to like Prime Minister, to the lowest guy to the guy who shines shoes. Yeah, I know everyone, all the police officers in between. I know everyone out there because of the nature of what I do. Who doesn't want to know a guy who does visas out there, right? Everyone does. Yeah, right. So even I don't feel confident in thinking, right, I can deal with the system out here or the people out here. That's how it is. If someone who hasn't been to India for 20 years goes and tries to claim a bit of land out there, and they've got some greedy relatives who've been farming that land for 20 years for free, do you think they're going to give it up for free? And that land's, let's just say, it's worth £1 million. What's the alternative? I don't get someone whacked for lakh rupiya. You call someone from UP or Bihar, an underage kid, they'll put 2 bullets in your head, job done. Yeah? Or if we don't even want to go that far and think, okay, I hate my cousins to kill them, then what you do is you pay the Tanidar off, about 100 grand, and you say, see, my cousin, and then he'll go, and you will shit yourself in there, in the system, and you will leg it back, and you won't want to go India again, or your kids. So then I convinced everyone, and guess where I started from? In the gym. I started in the gym with all the Buddha, anyone there back in the jacuzzi just on it. I sat there and I used to say, Buzurgo, well, what are you doing? What about your kids? And then we sat down, and then I took about 2 years to convince them, and they were right. And then I used to show them examples, or then I did Dawiya, or then I did Dawiya. And then they realised that, Harjap, you're right. We chose to make this decision. We have to be the ones that bear the burden. What happens is they like to pass the buck. मेरे बाप ने नहीं बेची, मेरी परदादी ने नहीं बेची, मैं नहीं बेची, तू जो मर्जी करी बात. Yeah, I would love to do my marji if someone bloody lets me know how to read the deeds for a start, or find a patwari, or who do I sell it to. I'm only going to go out there for 2 weeks on a holiday. They know that. I'm not going to get a good rate for it. And after I leave, the Jameen's going to get dubbed again. And this is right. So now people are coming around, including my own dad, yeah? And wouldn't you rather have that money here and invest it here into like properties in front of your own eyes? At least you know where they're safe, rather than in farming land there, which your relatives might have half an eye, if not both eyes on. So that's the alternative. Holy hon people are coming round to that when they've seen other experiences. Apne bande are not proactive. We're very reactive as a community. We wait for the pataka to buy, like I did with my heart attack. Yeah. But if we'd listened to you and been proactive and preventive, I wouldn't have ended up there. This is what we'll do. We'll wait for someone to lose their jameen and get murdered over it. Yeah? And then we'll say, oh my God, apan kuch karna chahiye tha.
You know this approach that you've done in terms of your activism. You've always been very active.
I've tried to be.
And you've said it around there. And, there's been, especially when we did the podcast first, we were talking about the farmers' strike still happening.
Yeah, yeah.
And from where it was to where it is now has been a lifetime. It's gone quiet in certain times around it. You're also active in the Ronan Kanda case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to be. Yeah.
Yeah, that came around, and also you've been, you've been on your opinions around immigration and especially around Punjab politics as well at the same time. In each of those cases that I've mentioned, what are the key takeaways that people need to consider, and what you learned the most?
I learned this year. If you sit there and watch injustice happen, you're pretty much just as much part of the problem. When something bad happens, you need to call it out. And if we collectively call it out as a community, there's no gang bigger than us. A handful of people who are in these gangs, who try and run things, whether they're politicians, whether they're gangsters, yeah, whether it's the opposition party, they rely on us being disunited, not united, and they rely on us getting scared. And they also rely on our Sanuki mentality. Well, nothing does Sanuki. The problem is, if we go around saying Sanuki to every problem, yeah, when people want help, yeah, when it happens to us, what do you think the others are going to say? Sanuki. And then we come stuck. And then and then the first question someone asks us is, whereas really, we need to call injustice out. And I'm a human rights lawyer, and that's essentially what I do. And it doesn't matter whether it's happening to my community or other communities. Yeah? Then I call that out as it is. And it's not easy. My key takeaway is, look, if you don't want to put yourself on the front line, then don't do it. I know, it's quite simple. Then be quiet. If you're 100% safe that it's not going to happen to you, then fine, then you don't need to do it. But if you want to do something and speak out against injustice, or want to have a good night's sleep and have your conscience clear, then that's brilliant. There's no softer pillow than a clear conscience. I'll tell you that now. So that's the softest pillow you can find. And it's our fathers. And if we back to those people who are fighting injustices in our community, then we'd get things done. We don't get things done because we don't. We're like a nomadic community. Appa pehla Handsworth South Hall yeah. We migrate there first, yeah, from India. Appa otte raj ke gand paune, yeah. Drugs, alcohol, booze, offies, bookies, yeah. Can't even keep our own streets clean, yeah. When we get a bit of money, yeah, we then move. To मैं तो चलना जी सोलीहाल, मैं तो चलना Sutton, right? मैं चलना Garrett's Cross, मैं चलना Ivor, मैं चलना Chiswick, yeah. Otte move ho gaya appa, है ना? Then we stand there. And guess what we do? We point at Handsworth and Smithwick and say, look, otte ta gand bahut paya, otte area ganda bahut hai, appa nahi otte rehne, appa ta Sutton rehne, appa ta Solihull rehne, ya main ta ji otte Ivor rehna, Windsor rehna, main ta nahi South Hall rehna. Yeah, you come from there, you barred the gun, you left it, as opposed to cleaning your own shit up in your own communities, yeah, and now you're pointing at it and degrading that area. If we want to go ahead to Draki as a community, yeah, we want to succeed, we have to learn one thing: how to clean our own areas up in which we've barred gun. In our areas, bro, the Gore didn't bar gun. If people point and look at the gun, Smethwick च गोरियां ने तो नहीं गंद पाया, Handsworth च गोरियां ने तो नहीं गंद पाया, West Brom च गोरियां ने तो नहीं गंद पाया, अपना ही बनाया हुआ है गंद पा के we've moved on because we've got a bit bucks. The people who haven't made the bucks, they're still there, or the people who are still associated with the community, our mothers and fathers, are still there. Now we're happy to move to Solihull, but we're in lovely, nice green areas. But our mum and dads were happy to leave them in the gun, aren't we? Right? And we didn't think that whereas if we had kept Southall clean or Smethwick and Handsworth clean, there'd be brilliant areas to live in, and we wouldn't have to worry about it. There wouldn't be crime hotspots, there wouldn't be immigrant hubs, there'd still be a very vibrant community. Yeah. So this is what we need to do. We need to clean up our own areas first, and I've always believed in that. That's why I spent 16 years in on Havelock Road on the corner of King Street and Havelock Road. That is the hoodiest place of Southall. The hood. When I looked out my window, all I saw were prostitutes, alcoholics, drug users, to the extent that drug users would sit on them benches near the Gurdwara, they'd roll their sleeves up, to pop a vein. You know how it works, yeah? And they do that in front of women and children walking past. It got to such an extent that I didn't want to go to work. And after 16 years, then I moved out. Even here in Birmingham, when I opened my office, I was right next to Smithwick Gurdwara. I didn't go to Colmore Road and open my firm. I can do. I'm the most well-known immigration lawyer in the UK. Right? I can do. I can go in the city and go Lincoln's Inn and sit there. I didn't. I'm in Hounslow. Right? And even now, where are we sitting? West Brom, on the High Street, next to where Jesse Junction used to be. Right? It's not, I'm not in Colmore Road or Smithfields or something like that, yeah? Or Sutton or whatever. I'm in my community, listening to the problems of our community, trying to solve it, trying to be part of that. That's what we need to do, instead of leg it at every opportunity. How far are you lot going to move? Where are you going to move to? This is an island. What are you going to do? I'll get us Mundaria. You can move to Brighton, or don't get us Mundaria. You can move as far as Scotland. Samundariya, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਭੱਜਣਾ ਕਿੱਥੇ? ਭੱਜਦੇ ਥੱਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਗਏ ਤੁਸੀਂ? ਪੰਜਾਬ ਤੋਂ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਾਊਥ ਹਾਲ ਆਏ, ਬਰਮਿੰਘਮ ਆਏ, ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਟਨ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਚਲ ਗਏ, ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਵਾਂਗੇ? ਡੈਵਨ ਕੋਰਨਵਾਲ ਚਲ ਜਾਓਗੇ, ਉੱਥੇ ਗੋਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਨਿਕਲ. Where are you going to go? Canada? ਉੱਥੇ ਤਾਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੰਦ ਪਾਇਆ. Where are you going to go? Why don't we clean up our own areas and make them attractive to live in? Which there can be done. All it requires is a bit of safai. We can collectively get rid of the drugs and alcohol problem. We can support the people who need help. And we can make our stuff crime-free, rather than making our children grow up in areas where they turn out to be influenced by criminals and drug users and, abusers. Why do we want that? Why would you want that? It's a simple question. If someone kind of did a poo-poo on your floor, you'd clean it up, wouldn't you? है ना? मैं ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ एक गल दसदा, ਆਪਾਂ ਇੰਦਾ ਭੱਜਦੇ ਆ, ਕੁੱਤਾ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਦੇ? You've seen a dog, ਜਦੋਂ ਬਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਪੂਛ ਮਾਰ ਕੇ ਬਹਿੰਦਾ. A ਕੁੱਤਾ has enough sense to know I've got to clean the area where I'm going to park my backside on, or where I'm going to sit. And yet what do? We haven't got the sense to clean up our own areas. Look at all our hoodie areas, the immigrant areas. It doesn't matter where you go. You can go Ilford Lane, it's the same problem. You can go Manchester, It's still the same problem. You can go Bradford, same problem. Luton, you can go Foleshill Road, yeah, same problem. Where people go, it's a bit hoodie. But ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾਣਾ Warwick ਜਾ ਕੇ ਰਹਿਣਾ, Leamington ਜਾ ਕੇ ਰਹਿਣਾ, yeah. ਜਦੋਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਗੰਦ ਪਾ ਗਿਆ ਫਿਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਜਾਓਗੇ? And this is the same reason what you've got to do: clean out areas, make them somewhere to live again, and make our community hubs rather than places where people look down on. Don't move out and then sneer down on that area, because my first question would be, what did you do to clean your area up? And the answer will be nothing. We ran.
The future of activism, especially it's a little bit scary online in terms of what's going on.
Man, you're telling me.
Yeah. What do you foresee the future like that, especially over the next coming years?
I'll tell you something, yeah? Everything is monitored. When I did the Kisans protest, and I was quite at the forefront of that movement, remember we did Kisans in Need, I did a 6-hour special, Frenzy came on, we had quite a few people on, Benny came on, and a lot of people came on and talked about it, and so I was at the forefront of the movement, and I was tweeting Modi, and my tweets went viral, the ones that where I replied to Modi and stuff like that. That was a scary time. I'll tell you why it was scary. I didn't think of it as that'd be scary, and I thought, right, freedom of press, we can say what we want, freedom of media, who's monitoring this, yeah? That shouldn't affect it. I can say what I want. In this country, I can criticise whoever I want. Rishi Sunak, Keir Starmer, I haven't got to worry about going to sleep. I got a phone call from Delhi saying, you're Harjap Bhangal. I said, yeah, but we're monitoring your activism. If you want to come to India again, you better tone it down, son. And that's the first time I sort of thought, Harjap, you need to think about this. And then I thought, you know what? I've started something now. Why should I tone it down? Yeah. For the next 2 years, I never went to India. This is a guy who goes 6 times a year. So I thought the only time then I decided to go to India was when Modi apologised to the farmers and withdrew the whole laws and all that. Then I thought, right, now it's all right. Now everyone's admitted. Now they can't say anything. We'll go to India. Otherwise, I was thinking, no, man, all it's going to take is someone to bump you off. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's when I first started thinking, right, activism is a bit scary. Now, when I go on channels like GB News and Talk TV, and people ask me, why do you go on? Because their viewers are right-wing and possibly racist and all that. Right. And I'll tell you something, after I've been on them channels, you should see my Twitter feed. It's full of the most racist abuse. And I put it online once. People say to me, why are these immigration lawyers always immigrants themselves? Mm. And I'm like, I'm born in Romford. I went to uni in Kingston. How much more British do you want to be? Do I want to be? You know? And the kids are born here. Everyone's here. You know, I'm born here. Right. Or he just wants more of his immigrant stock over. Yeah. I've been called the P word. I've been called all sorts of words. Yeah. Online. Trolled by racists. That really messes with your head. You think, I go to all of that trouble, and men got up in you, go down. And when people say we want to be written like it was in the 70s and the 80s, I don't, mate. I went to an all-Gora school. I was the only Indian in my whole school, in 1,200 pupils. I used to get a kicking every other week. I used to get called the P word every day. I don't want to return to them times. I don't want my kids to go through that. Are you crazy? You want Britain to be like in the 70s? Depends who you are. If you was a racist in the 70s, you probably love it. And if you're a racist now, but if you're someone like me, who had to grow up with that, you don't want that, right? We don't want that for our kids. But I see that thinking and I think, right, come on, man, it can't be that bad. And they're not one, not two, mate. They're in there, thousands. And then they think, well, why do you go on? Because of this. If you're not in the conversation, you don't have your voice heard. In order for you lot to listen to us, there has to be 2 of us speaking. And we have to have a conversation. If I say, Ricky, matter tere show de online, how is your audience going to know? Right, or I'm going to say, Ricky, every single one of your views is opposed to me. We're going to end up arguing. But then, how am I going to influence any of your viewers to agree with me, or to even hear my side of the argument? That's why we've got to listen. So we've got to sit down and listen to these people like the Farages and the Jacob Rees-Moggs, yeah, and we've got to call them out. We've got to call them out.
But you know when you debate them,
yeah,
you know when they go behind the scenes or anything in the green room, yeah. Are they exactly the same person?
No, they're quite alright actually. They're alright. So we're quite laughy and jokey. So me and Richard Price Right, like, right, Richard, keep on down all
But
that.
do you try and does he understand and agree with in terms of where you're coming from, or is it just the
These
front?
are private school educated
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
These are intelligent people. They're not like us. They're not GCSE fail magma. Yeah? They're not B graders. Yeah? Their mum and dads were paying 10, 12 grand fees a year for them to go to school back in the 70s and 80s. Yeah? If you think they don't know what they're talking about, then we're the stupid ones. They know, but everyone is laced with agendas. Politicians in India, all we see sort of thing, I know when they say stuff, they know exactly what they're on about.
Yeah.
They know they have agendas. They've got to say what their party says. They've got a mission. They want to fulfill their mission. A bit like what we say now. Yeah, I'll be the same off air. Hannah, like you was the same 15 years ago. Your views, and you'll be the same now. We might have changed our views because of our life experiences, but essentially we're not totally different blokes. We're not. There's no charade. There's no mask, right?
Yeah.
That kind of. But yeah, a lot of people wear a lot of masks on TV, and that's where when you think and you go, actually, you're not an arsehole, mate. You're quite all right. I know you know what you're doing, but then I think that makes him even more dangerous.
It does. I was we're going to bring it to a close in a second, but I used to do. Well, I did my politics degree, and I did some time at Whitehall.
Yeah.
And I got taken over by Harry Mann, this guy, brilliant. He was a lecturer at LSE. Went over to this opposite where Big Ben is. There's a Home Office building across it.
That's right. Yeah.
Went in there, and I was like, I saw Labour sitting with Conservative on the same table, and I was like, they can't be doing that. I need to take a picture. I didn't realise it was part of the game.
Cool part of the game.
That they're all friends.
So half of them are related.
Yeah.
In India, you have opposing MPs, and but in the stage, they swear and slag each other off.
100%.
And it went and
that's when I realised that it was just a game.
Yeah, politics, it's a difficult thing to understand.
Harjap, we're coming to the end now, and as you know, on the bandwagon, I ask the guest, is there a bandwagon that they want to jump on? Is there a bandwagon that they want to jump off? Or is there anything that they want to get off their chest? Then this is your space to do so.
I jumped on a bandwagon a little bit because I've been on my films, right?
Yes.
So I've jumped on that bandwagon, right? So I got a phone call. I don't know if I told you a story, but basically, I never pick up withheld numbers, yeah? I'm lucky if I return anyone's call or message, as you know.
Yeah.
Right. So I usually voice note, yeah? So what happens is, that's my claim to fame. I taught the Punjabi world how to voice note. That's one thing, right? So, because I thought, I'm not sitting there typing this out. What a waste of time. Right. Got a phone call on a Saturday, and I thought I'd pick it up. Hello, sir. I'm calling from Mumbai. And I thought, shit, I bet he wants Salah. I can't even hang up to him now because he's all about to look at these things. I feel bad. And he goes, sir, I said, what do you want? Do you want advice? He goes, no. He goes, sir, I'm a director in Bollywood. And I said, okay. And I said, what do you want to camera crew wali Salah lani honi, edda kuch lani honi, about how to bande kidda navane and all that. And he goes, no. And every question I'd say, what visa advice do you want? He said, will you stop talking about visas? And I said, well, what do you want from me? And he goes, I'm directing a film. Yeah, and it's got Jimmy Shegill, Neeru Bajwa, Sankan Mehta in it, yeah, and we want you in our film. And I said, are you having a laugh? And I said, it's Saturday, 2:00, and I said, look, and they go, oh, we're not having a laugh. He goes, what happened was we're making a film. We saw your videos online, and we were going to get a character to play you, an actor to play you, your character. And then he goes, our writer goes, well, why don't you just ask him? And we thought, all right, we'll ask you. We've got your number off X person in the UK. And we want you to. I said, oh, all right, mate, let me check these lot out. So I said, yeah. And then I was like, Jimmy Shegill, mate, he's worked with Amitabh Bachchan and Hrithik Roshan and all that, you know. And I said, you know, I'm a lawyer, I'm not an actor. And they go, no, we've seen your videos, we think you're perfect. I said, what's the role? He said, you've got to play yourself. You'll be playing yourself, you'll be called yourself, you'll be playing Harjap, the Vakil. And so we went, checked them all out, they were legit. I went to Canada, Calgary, and first day I turned up on set. That's when the guy who was shooting the film said to me, are you the YouTube immigration guy? And Neeru Bajwa was on set. And she goes, you came from the UK to shoot this film? I said, yeah. She's like, wow. And because I'd previously interviewed Neeru for Punjab 2000, right? And so started shooting, and I remember the first day, I was on set, my first scene was Jimmy Shegill was a builder, and I had to call him down and saying I found a girl from him to marry, yeah? And I couldn't get into the scenes of it, yeah? And then Jimmy took me aside, he goes, yeah? Then I did that, yeah. And to be fair, and I'll tell you a lot now, yeah. I thought, my sneaky beggar, right? And that sneaky one turned into my door, yeah. Mate, I aced it. I aced it in one shot. I aced it in one take. I aced the whole thing in one take. And Jimmy was just looking at me. I thought, I know what you run on now. And I'm like, well, I'm nervous. And I'm going to have to come with this. Since then, me and Jimmy are very good friends. We're like we're brothers. We shot films. I've done 3 films with him. I've just done a Bollywood film with Poonam Dillon, Eli Avram, Sharat Saxena. And we had to speak Hindi. So, yeah, I've jumped onto that bandwagon and thought, if the singers can do it, why can't Vakils do it as well, eh?
John, you're the only person in 100 episodes who's actually turned around and said they jumped on a bandwagon.
Yeah, am I?
Yeah, that's why he's the OG. That's why he's the OG.
Yeah, I did jump on that bandwagon, and I thought, you know what? If anyone can do it, why can't we UK-born people, even the ones who aren't used to being on a camera, why can't we go out and achieve our dreams? I grew up on films. I'm a filmy kid. Being a chance to play myself in a film, where do you see that? That's only, that's like me and Mr. playing me and Mr. Yeah. So for me, it's like a dream come true. And now I'm doing quite a few films. I've got a few projects this year. People are appreciating my sort of stuff. I'm not going to give up the day job. I'm still doing the whole visas and human rights sort of thing. But it's a nice little thing, sort of side thing to have. It's like to be searchable on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah, to have your name in the credits, to play myself. And like in our latest film, I play Jimmy's boss. I play a cafe owner. Well, we shot here in just in Stoke. So it was quite good, man. It was a very good experience. Looking forward to doing more. And it's great. It's sort of a very superficial world, yeah? And it's hard being real in there, yeah? But like I said, it's not my day job. If it was my day job, you'd see a different Harjap. I'd have to put a face on and pretend and talk like this and be, yeah, man, I just love Bollywood and all that. Nah, mate, we're just ourselves, really, just being ourselves. Up this here, the Punjabi style. And I'm doing my stuff, and it's all right. It's something different. I have a passion for and doing it, and it's like a God's little reward, I think, for me, saying, look, Tika, this is your tapasya in Punjabi films and Punjabi language, and you can do a chance to do something with it.
Harjap, a big thank you, and really appreciate it for all the support that you've given over the years, from pre this and for what you do and where you've gone to, and leading that pathway for everybody else to go through is absolutely amazing. I really appreciate it.
Listen, you lot deserve respect, because you were starting podcasts when people didn't even know what a podcast was. Half the African community still don't know what it is.
Oh, they don't.
Yeah, so the elders don't know what it is. Yeah, you're right. So, all, and not just you, a lot of the other people.
Yeah, just loads.
There's loads out there.
Yeah.
And my thing, once again, is if you want to be listened to, everyone's got their individual spaces. And I know this is something you've tried to do in the past, yeah? And I want you to lead on this, and I'm with you on this. Get all the Asian podcasters together. Get all us Desi Punjabi ones together at least. Let's just have a mass sort of interview with each other, question and answer session. It would be mental. The stories that would come out, it would be crazy.
It's going to happen.
Can you imagine? Get about right. You need to get
this happening. Get
all the boys in. Get Sat in. Yeah. Get Bainesy and all that. Bainesy guys. Get a few of the ladies in. It would be mental. Let's have a free-for-all, uncensored, unfiltered.
It's going to be like a mega mela of podcasts.
I'd host it and watch all the questions I'd ask them. Asli story and but it would be bloody brilliant if we could do that. And then on serious issues, whether it's the Ronan Kanda case, whether it's about alcoholism, whether it's about abuse, whether it's about child abuse and sexual abuse, we will have a collective platform and a collective voice. You're only going to get heard, people, if the louder your voice is, then the bigger your reach, the more you're going to get taken seriously by governments, by local councils, by the community. We have that power. We have that. We just have, everyone's just pulling in their own little directions for their own little agendas. Yeah, but the fact is that agenda should be to leave our community in a better place than where we found it. That's the only agenda. To make this place a better place for the people we leave behind, whether that's our children, whether it's their children, whether it's our nephews and nieces, and whether it's our brothers and sisters, whether it's for even people that we don't know. We can leave this place a much better place than what we found it.
Thank you, bro.
I think. No, I was the only one who said.
Yeah, you're the only one ever. Only one ever.